Um, I think Joe, some, but I think teams have guarded him hard, right? And we've got to keep doing a better job as a coaching staff of trying to find more ways to get him to be, more efficient, more successful. They're both really good players, and these are long seasons too. I think they're going to go through stretches maybe where you have a couple of games, 2 out of 3 games that you don't maybe shoot the ball as well, and that's going to be expected when you're at the top of every scouting report. Every once in a while, that's going to happen.
Mike Waters, go ahead.
Brad, I'm going to ask you to do something coaches on here hate, and that's to look ahead to Saturday.
Yeah.
It's going to be an interesting day with Joe Girard returning. I was wondering if, is there any concern about him being too hyped up, too excited, and what kind of reception do you think he's going to get?
And I hope he gets a good one. That kid would never say anything negative about Syracuse. He enjoyed his experience there, loves the fans. Obviously was an outstanding player and helped them win a lot of games. Obviously, he's a huge fan of Coach Boeheim. So I would hope that his reception would be a good one. I think he was just a kid who was looking for something different, right? Like he's graduated from there and he wanted to try to experience a different situation. So I hope it'll be good. It'll be emotional for him. I'm sure I'll probably talk to him about it on Thursday or Friday. But it'll be an interesting trip for sure.
Thanks.
David Teal, go ahead.
Brad, how is Carolina different from a month ago when you played them down in Littlejohn? Much different, or is it pretty much the same?
I don't know if they're much different. They were playing really well when we played them here. Hubert's done a really good job with them. You can just see how connected they are. Very experienced group. Harrison Ingram is obviously coming off the Duke game, was phenomenal. They're older. Cormac Ryan. I mean, they have experienced players. Obviously, Davis and Baycoat. They're just really talented team that's playing very hard. Seem to be very connected, and defensively they're playing outstanding. They're hard to score on, and obviously they've got a bunch of different weapons and firepower. They can score inside. They can score outside. They push the ball. They're just a really good North Carolina team.
Virginia is obviously known for defense, but went through a rough patch there for a while. Seemed to have righted the ship, especially on the defensive end. What were your impressions of Virginia's defense, especially inside the arc on Saturday?
Well, I think Tony, found something with Groves and Minor. Obviously, Groves has really helped him on the offensive end, and Minor defensively. He's just a big, strong, physical, tough bull type player, and he's older, he's experienced, and not only is he physical in his low post defense, but he's a good rebounder. He's getting 8 or 9 rebounds in 24 or 5 minutes or whatever it is, and he finishes plays around the rim. He got a couple balls in. He's getting, he's averaging like 9 and 9 in 24, 25, whatever it is, 26 minutes. Which, in a low possession game, that might be more like, 12 and 12. So I just think he's a really good player. Obviously, you have Ryan Dunn and Reese Beekman are 2 of the best defensive players in our league. Ryan Dunn might be the most athletic front court player in the league, and Reese Beekman might be one of the most athletic guards in the league. So they've got those 2 guys to kind of start, and then now they've got Minor inside for physicality. Pretty good weapons there defensively.
Thank you.
We'll go back to John Blau.
Obviously, you talked about Jack Clark being a process, getting on the floor and learning the offense and all that. I mean, how quickly has he been able to close that gap in terms of understanding, or where would you say he is?
Yeah, 75%, I'm guessing. You know what I mean, in terms of knowing all the stuff we do and that kind of stuff. But he's pretty good. I think the other thing is just now practicing every day and playing every day. It's feeling comfortable, right? I don't know if he would tell you that like he's 100% pain free. He probably is not. And so just kind of managing all of that with his play and, just being rusty from not hardly playing and really not practicing a lot this year. That's the process that has been frustrating for him. I know for us, I'm hopeful if he can keep building that, there are a lot of good days ahead for Jack Clark with our team.
I guess just another broad question. Obviously, this North Carolina game is really big, and you guys just kind of need a win. I mean, how do you not overly pressurize, trying to, finally just get one and get over the hump to kind of turn the tide a little bit here?
I mean, obviously, we're process driven like a lot of teams now. You're just trying to, you're trying to play better basketball. I think we've been playing better basketball than our record. I try to remind some people early in the year we weren't playing as well, and we eked out a couple of wins against UAB and Davidson. We were down 18 to Davidson, and they missed a couple threes in the last 15 seconds, and we held on to win. And Chase made a great drive and got fouled with 3 seconds left against UAB and made free throws, and we won. And now we've had a couple of games where we missed a shot, another team has made a shot, and we've lost some close ones. We probably played better against Virginia than we played in one of those 2 games earlier in the year that we won. Same thing at Duke. So, we're trying not to be so process driven or so outcome driven that we forget that we are playing better basketball. Yes, we need to win some games here. You can't just be about playing better. You got to find a way to win. But it's a very fine line, and we're just trying to do the best we can walking through that.
Got one last quick question from Kip Coons.
Yeah, that kind of answered part of what I was going to ask there, Brad. I was wondering also, you're kind of an outlier in college basketball right now, in that you play 3 bigs, at least in your starting lineup, and for a lot of time on the floor together. Is that necessarily the matchup that you want to see, though, against Carolina, which is more perimeter oriented this season?
I think they go back and forth. Ingram plays the 3 and the 4, and you could argue maybe he's not a true post, but Chauncey Wiggins, Jack Clark aren't true post players. So in that way, I don't know that I agree with your first statement of us playing 3 post players. But I do like having size at the wing. I think size at the wing helps us rebound. It helps us defensively in some ways. We did that last year with Hunter Tyson. I think there are times it's nice to have 3 guard lineup and maybe a little faster, and we'll certainly do that and do that occasionally during games. But against North Carolina, obviously speed and transition will be important.
Brad, thank you. Appreciate the time.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Next up, we've got John Scheyer from Duke. If you have a question for Brad, for John, go ahead, use the raise hand tool. I believe he is here. Good morning, John.
Good morning.
Good to see you. Tom Noy, you're up first, sir. Go ahead.
Hey, John, what were some of your impressions, your takeaways in Notre Dame when you played them up here last month? One, just how tough they are defensively. I mean, they're right there with one of the best defenses that we've played all year. They have really good size. They really make it hard on you in the paint. They play with physicality. They made things really hard on us. And obviously it was a close game, and Burden's a really good player, and they run some great stuff on offense. But for me, it was what their defense did in that first game. Thanks, John. Yep.
Steve Wiseman, go ahead.
Thanks. Good morning, John.
Hey, Steve.
Wondered if you've had any chance to have any, kind of impactful conversations with any players. I know, yesterday was a day off probably, but since Saturday night, as you try to, absorb the lessons from that and move forward and try to, use it to improve.
Yeah, I saw a bunch of the guys yesterday. It was a day off, but they're again treatment, and so I saw a bunch of them yesterday. We met as a team this morning, and really, it's a lot of the stuff we talked about after the game. You know what I talked about with you guys. I mean, just if you take away everything else, and you just got loose balls in that game. If you just got loose balls, I think it's a different outcome. But with that said, still the credit goes to North Carolina. Like they played a great game. They were the better team throughout because they made those plays. I thought we gave them a lot of life with some easy baskets from the loose balls, from transition. And for us, it's full steam ahead. I thought it was uncharacteristic of who we've been, Steve. We've been incredibly connected on the offensive end. We've been sharing it. Our offense has been lights out, I think, for the most part. Defensively, we've been good. At times really good. And so for us, it's right back to it this morning. We already met as a team, right back to it this afternoon on the court. And, that wasn't acceptable for me and for us in our program. But you still give a lot of credit to them because they were great and they played a great game.
We'll go next to Connor O'Neill.
John, kind of following up on Steve's point there. Is it easier to refocus the team when you have a couple of days here, and kind of talk about the effort with your guys this morning?
Connor, I'm not sure. It's you always. I think if it was a week, a day, I know our guys, the group we've had for the last 2 years, since I've been head coach, I know, just speaking about these guys, like they respond, and there's never been a time they haven't responded. And I expect the same thing in this case. And I don't think any of them walked away saying, man, we played great. Coach, I don't know what you're talking about. There's no question about it. So for us, it's just about being on the same page of understanding why something happens and then what we need to do in order to change it. And so that's what these next couple of days are about for us.
Luke DeCock, go ahead, sir.
Hey, John, bit of a change of subject. Obviously, there was a lot of talk over the summer about the changes to the block charge rule and the sort of new interpretation. It strikes me that it's a pretty significant rule change, and we're here in February and nobody's been complaining about it for 3 months. Were your guys able to adjust? Did you have to adjust anything that was teaching, and how do you feel like it's been implemented?
Well, Luke, we don't teach charges anymore. It's going to be a low percentage play. And, there's a difference if you're on the ball, right? And a guy's going through your chest where you can make that play then. But as a secondary defender coming over, you better be really early in order to take the charge. And so that's one thing. And then the second thing, as far as I'm concerned, I don't complain a lot about how the game's being called. You have to adjust to it. Complaining is not going to do anything. And so for us, it's probably changed the way we teach, coming over on the help side. And then also just you have to play the way the game is officiated.
Yep. Thank you, John.
Thanks.
We'll go next to Royal Howell. Go ahead, Royal.
Hey, Coach, how we doing this morning?
Hey, Royal. How you doing?
Doing well. Coach, as you prepare for this 3-game home stretch, and I think you just alluded to it a moment ago as far as just the team's effort from Saturday, what are the main things that you need to see from this team in preparation for March, which is right around the corner?
Playing our hearts out, man. You gotta put it all on the line. And that's the thing. Like, we may lose, we may not shoot well. You gotta play every possession like it's your last one, and that's what this is all about. And so for me, if you're gonna ask me how do we do that and all that, one, we're gonna practice really hard today. And when you play 3 games in 6 days, 3 games really in 5 days, it's 3 games in 6 days. I'm sorry, but it's hard to you can't practice every single day that way because you need to be ready for the games. But in games, we have to look at our bench. We have to look at subbing more frequently if that's not getting done, because we're going to have a team that plays every play. We're going to have a team that fights on every possession. And it's been that way for the majority of who we've been as a team this year. But clearly there was a step back on Saturday.
Thanks, Coach.
Jack Sieberlich, go ahead, sir.
Hey, Coach. Kind of in that same vein, you've come off 2 straight road games against some tough teams, Virginia Tech, and a really emotional game, Chargers game against UNC. Is it kind of a bit refreshing to return home for a couple games back home in Cameron?
You know, Jack, to be honest with you, it's not refreshing at all. Like there's no game where you can just let up for or think it's just going to happen. And you know, you see very few blowouts in our league. You know, for the most part, these games are really close, regardless if you're home or away. And we're coming off a game we didn't play very well. So for me, I'm anxious to get back out there. I'm hungry to get to practice with our team. And I'm of course, excited to get back with our fans and playing Cameron, because it's the opportunities of playing this place are less and less. You know, with 10 games left in the season, we only have a few more opportunities. So I'm excited for that, but I'm more anxious to get back to it and play the way that we can.
We'll go to Kip Coons. Go ahead.
Yeah, good morning, John.
Good morning.
Aside from the 2 players that you announced that are going to miss the rest of the season after their surgeries, I noticed that you only played really 2 players off your bench. Sean got 2 minutes Saturday night. Is injury also a problem with the rest of your depth, or is it just the dictates of the game Saturday didn't allow for you to go as deep?
No, that's what our rotation's been for the most part. And those guys have to stay ready. And they're good players. We have really good players on the team. And not saying we can't go deeper, we can. But for that game and for the most part, that's really been our rotation.
John, it's all the time that we have. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks.